Regan comes in by the church, he goes.
Call this meeting to order. Happy to see everybody here. It is our last meeting of the year, thankfully. And it's nice to see a full crowd because tonight is when we do honor our employees that are getting service awards. And thanks to, first of all, I think it's a good thing that we do it and recognize the work and the effort that our employees put in. And it's nice that they're able to even show up to receive these because sometimes everybody's got a lot of things going on this time of year. Can I get a mover and a seconder to reconvene into open session, please? Councillor Deal, Councillor Chartrand, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East reconvene into open session at 6:01 p.m. All those in favor? And motion carries. For reporting out, Council discussed proposed or pending disposition of land in Seaforth and Brussels. And then at this point, the clerk is going to read the motion that was passed in the closed session.
That the Council of the Municipality of Huron East declare the property located at 32 B Centennial Drive, Seaforth, as surplus due to the receipt of an intent to purchase received from a local family physician, and that the disposition occur through direct negotiations with the purchaser as prescribed in policy 1-36, sale and other disposition of surplus lands policy.
Mover and a seconder for that motion. Who were the two in closing? My understanding is we're supposed to try and keep these.
Direction of close was moved by Councillor Chartrand and seconded by Councillor Morrison.
We both agree to those?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor? And motion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Count, please, Mr. Mayor.
Considering the fact that you didn't vote, which means in favor, it was unanimous.
Thank you.
For the land acknowledgement, we would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples. Can I get a mover and a seconder for confirmation of the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Fisher, that the agenda for the regular meeting of council dated December 17, 2024 be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? Motion carries. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any member of council this evening? Seeing none. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the minutes of the previous meeting? Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Deal, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East approve the following council meeting minutes as printed and circulated. That's the regular meeting of December 3rd of 2024 and the special meeting of December 9th of 2024. Are there any comments or questions on those minutes? All those in favor? And motion carries. Under the consent agenda, are there any requests to remove any item from the consent agenda? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just to administration, I don't need it pulled either, but just an explanation on the monies coming from the province to offset the increases with the OPP. Did we get enough to offset it, or reading down through it?
I think there's a letter in the package that gives you the number, right?
I don't know. They had the numbers in there. I just didn't know if they matched up with what.
Yeah, so it matches up and looks like the mayor and I were trying to discuss what the percentage was, but it's just a slight increase over last year's.
Okay,
So it kind of takes away the big increase.
right.
And just sets it aside.
Okay, no, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that anybody would like to have pulled? Councillor Stafford.
Just under 8.3, the accounts payable. Just had a question on the fire consultant. Is just the payable in there again? Are we done with that term or is that continuing?
Which consultant would that be though? Sorry.
The fire.
There's a couple on here, so.
3650 for Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, we're done with him. So that would have been his last invoice.
That was last invoice. Thank you.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Newell, second by Deputy Mayor, that the consent agenda items 8.1 to 8.6 be received for information and approved. All those in favor? And motion carries. Under public meetings, hearings and delegations, we do have some presentations tonight, and these are the service awards for our employees. So, as I call everybody out, when you come to the front, if you don't mind, we'd like to take a photo of each individual. And, could you please stay, because we'd like to take a group photo at the end of everybody. So up first, with 5 years of service, Megan O'Hare, volunteer firefighter in Brussels. Yeah, thank you for that service.
One way up there, now get your.
You just scooch over and find the tree.
We'll send the cards in next week. Post office backward. Next we have Heather Dunbar, also a volunteer firefighter in Brussels, being recognized for 10 years of service. Next, we have Chris Gibson, volunteer firefighter in Brussels, being recognized for 10 years of service. Eric Osterbach. I hope I got that close.
Not quite close.
Recreation facility supervisor and also for 10 years of service with Huron East. Thank you very much. Anytime. No, thank you. Glennis Kelly, radio operator with the Seaforth Fire Station, being recognized for 15 years of service. And the last one we have to give out tonight, wow, Julie Conson, assistant daycare supervisor, being recognized for 35 years of service. Julie, you've been here longer than I have.
Get everyone.
Where?
Tree. Everyone under the tree a little bit.
No, this works. Julie can stand in front of me. I can see over.
That's perfect.
There you guys go.
Eric, can you come on this side
Yep.
instead?
Keep pushing Jeff over.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Although everybody couldn't make it this evening, there were some other awards that we were going to be handing out. For 5 years of service, Kelly Berry, the daycare in Vanastra, Tyler Eckert, Seaforth Fire, Tyson Phelps, the Gray Fire Department, Tyler O'Neill, Gray Fire Department, Kelly Rathwell, Vanastra Rec Center, Michael Riebeli. Did I get that close? And then, that's Gray Fire, Kelsey Renning, Vanastra Daycare, Ryden Scholdice, the Brussels Fire. And so for 10 years of service, Brad Dietrich, our chief building official, Lyle Hood for Public Works, and Jordan Jacqueline for Public Works. And under 20 years of service, Matt Snyder for the Recreation Department. So really happy to see that we've got that many employees that have been around for that many years. Really proud of that. Thank you. Under 9.2, Committee of Adjustment, Public Hearing, Minor Variance MV 05 of 2024. And Shay, welcome.
We just need a mover and seconder to go into the public hearing.
Okay, mover and a seconder to go into public, Councillor Deal and Councillor Fisher, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East adjourn the regular meeting of council at 6:10 PM to go into a public hearing of Committee of Adjustment to discuss the following: minor variance application MV 05 of 2024 for 4504 Walnut Road, Tuckersmith. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Sorry, and then just confirm the agenda of the public hearing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mover and a seconder for confirmation, Councillor Chartrand and Councillor Morrison, that the agenda for the public hearing of Committee of Adjustment dated December 17, 2024 be adopted. And all those in favor? And motion carries. Now you have the floor, Shay.
Great, thank you, Mayor. So this presentation is for minor variance application MV 05 2024. The owner and applicant is Tom Bender, who is present in the gallery today. And subject property is 40504 Walnut Road. Next slide, please. So just a quick aerial photo of the subject lands here. So located on Walnut Road and Chiselhurst Road, just outside of Hensel. And the proposal is for a minor variance for reduction of the MDS2 setback to facilitate a new construction of a livestock farm. Next slide, please. So 2 minor variances are being requested for this development. One to reduce the MDS2 setback for the barn from 597 meters to 525 meters to the house northeast of the proposed barn. And a second MDS setback reduction from 597 to 507 meters to the house west of the proposed barn. Subject property is zoned general agriculture and designated agriculture. So just a concept sketch of what that reduction looks like. So the red box there is the proposed barn location. The 2 purple circles that are kind of cut off there is the required MDS setbacks of 597, and then the blue lines are showing the proposed reductions of 507 to the west and the 525 meters to the northeast. And then that sketch in the corner, so it's a little bit hard to see, just shows the detailed dimension specifications of the proposed barn size there. Just a site photo of the property. So the subject property where the barn is proposed is currently vacant agricultural land currently used for cropping. Next slide. So minor variances are required to satisfy the 4 tests about a minor variance. This proposal meets the intent of the Huron East official plan and the policies within the plan. It also meets the intent of the Huron East zoning bylaw and otherwise meets all applicable zoning provisions, setbacks, and other requirements of the zoning bylaw. And the development is desirable for the appropriate development of the land and is minor in nature. So the application requests 2 MDS reductions to the 2 closest neighboring residences. The reduction for the northeast residence is approximately a 12% reduction from the required. And the reduction for the property for the house to the west represents approximately a 15% reduction. All other setbacks and provisions were met, as I noted. And the proposed barn is located in the southeast corner of the farm parcel, which is bordered by a woodland thicket along the municipal drain. The forested area will also serve as a physical buffer between the proposed barn and the 2 nearest residences. Likely to further mitigate any impacts from the new barn. The location was kind of settled upon as the middle ground between the 2 nearest residences to the property. Next slide, please. So comments received, no comments or concerns were raised by staff or other agencies. Some comments were received in advance of the preparing of my report. from the neighbor to the west, just with some general questions and clarification of what the proposal was. Further discussion, came up after my report was submitted with the neighbor to the west regarding accommodation for a potential future ARU on their property. So we ran the MDS one calculation to determine the setback for that new potential ARU on their property. And determined that it's possible that a minor variance would be needed for the new ARU to meet the setback required to the new barn once it's constructed. So we kind of went over that with the neighbor and what that process looks like. And just explained that the nature of the MDS setbacks and the first come, first served approach when it comes to siting barns and residences in an agricultural setting. I understand the neighbors present today in the gallery and may wish to comment on this further. Next slide, please. So it's recommended that the minor variance application be approved with standard conditions, that it be valid for 18 months approval, and that it be constructed as per the site plan and sketch submitted with the application. And then we have any questions on that.
Are there any comments or questions from members of council at this time? I only had one concern, Shay, with the comments you were making. It is first come, first served with minor variance, and it's easy to say, if you don't object to mine, because I'm asking for one, I won't object to yours, but you never know who actually owns the property 10 years down the road when something's gonna happen. But if the barn wasn't there, the person applying second wouldn't even need one, would they?
Not for that particular barn. There is other livestock barns in the area. I haven't done a full review of what those setbacks would look like, so it's possible that other barns in the area would pose further constraint to this property. But the new barn does introduce a new barrier for that potential unit.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the public at this time? You're not the applicant, are you? Okay, then go ahead, sir.
Your comment,
And introduce yourself. please.
sorry, Paul Vanderbilt, so we are the neighbor to the west. We've had a conversation with Shay. And just pretty much as you addressed, Mr. Mayor, that your comment about you're not sure who's gonna own the land, and just because we say, sure, go ahead and build the barn now, we might wanna do this later. But our ultimate goal would be potentially a barn dominium or a house or something like that for one of the members of our family. And I know we can't put it on council today to say, well, hey, if we approve this minor variance, so we're gonna go with 50% reduction that we can request 3 years from now for 15% variance, but that's exactly what we're just concerned about. We just want to voice that. We have a great relationship with our neighbors, so we don't want to get in the middle of this and start anything. We just want to make sure that if we did want to move forward something, we'd at least have the chance and potentially do so. And with the sketches, it is leaning a little bit more our way anyways, but I know talking to Shay, we need a 567 minor variance to do an additional residential ARU. And right now with it going down to 507, yeah, we'd be looking at about a 10% reduction that we need to request in the future. So even if it shifts, to the 25, so it's 15% one way and 12 another way, it's making 3% less that I have to apply for in the future. I know it's minor, and if there's no concern whether it's 12 or 15 to a council, there's no concern to me. Just something that, yeah, that is our viewpoint.
Just speaking from experience, the bottom line is no minor variance ever has to be granted, but when all the neighbors are getting along and they're happy with it, then normally the council's happy with it also. Are there any comments or questions from the applicant themselves?
Well, I'd like to express appreciation for the privilege of residing in Huron East, Tuckersmith for more than 50 years. And this council has served our role very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second, I'd like to express appreciation for all the good neighbors, not just good. We've had many good neighbors, and we wish to remain in relations with all of them. As far as the barn, we purchased the property across the road from lot 10. We live on lot 11, concession 2. We wish to bought the farm to the south, thinking that's where this next step in my succession to the next generation would be a barn building. We learned that the size that fits us can't go on that property because of the houses over there. The other property that I own is up by Tippin Road, lot 10. Lot 16, concession 2, 5 lots north, but that's on the Tippin Highway. Not a desired spot for a livestock operation. Back west of Paul and Lisa here, the traffic is limited. Yes, there would be a little more for our neighbors to put up with. It would basically be livestock and feed. And then, of course, the obvious issue is the manure. The presence of the barn, we feel, if it could be moved a little to the east, closer to that other property, we feel that would be desirable for Paul's concerns. That house is a tenant house. It's not in top quality. I'm not Jeff Alderdice, but I do know enough about Jeff Alderdice's business views that house, whether it has a lifespan of 10 or 20 years, it has a lifespan that is not totally out of sight. That house being lower, our neighbor's house is top class. I mean, these neighbors, that is not top class. I would suggest that while there may be some southwest winds that take the odors from the barn over there, that is not real common. Straight east is common. We fortunately have that buffer of trees, the creek and the wooded vegetation there. And since talking with Paul and Lisa this morning, my boys and I thought the easterly edge of their property is a pretty steep bank. Just to show good faith, we would be planning to plant evergreens and fence it off so that the beef cows can't destroy the trees until they're well established. That would be because, as Paul and I discussed, we don't know if those thorn trees are going to be there in 20 years. Presently, they make a very solid buffer. They cannot see to the east. If we plant evergreen trees, 3 or 4 rows, whatever seems fitting, and give them 20 years to grow, then we would again have a sight barrier to the unpleasantness of a hog barn. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for those comments. Jay, so since it was raised, I'm sorry, I don't remember, was there any justification of why it couldn't actually be central between the two locations?
Yeah, so the proposed location was kind of central, that we're kind of considering the central location and also prevailing wind patterns, as Tom mentioned a little bit. I think there is potential to shift it a little bit over to the east. I haven't had a full chance to do a comprehensive review of what that would look like, but I think due to the barn to the northeast is to the northeast, so moving it that way wouldn't have a significant impact. It would maybe be changing it from 12% to 15%. Increasing, moving it slightly over. So I think there is potential to move it over. Maybe 30 meters to the east would be appropriate. I've kind of run a preliminary analysis of if moving at 30 meters would be enough to provide a location for an additional unit on their property. And it looks like this would give a little bit of space to have that. It may not be the preferred or ideal location, but it would give them some potential for an additional unit there.
Councillor Chartrand.
So if you were to move it, would that cause a problem with the other neighbor? Because right now he had no complaints as to where it was at.
Mm-hmm.
So would that hold things up or would it cause another problem?
So it would be the same kind of case for that property owner. If that property owner wanted to build their own additional residential unit, it would be the same kind of consideration. Again, don't have a proposal for a location there, so we can't fully do that analysis. I think based on the northeast location, it doesn't impact it significantly.
Any other comments or questions at this time? All right,
Mr.
so,
Mayor, sorry.
oh,
And just, can I reflect to that? Not reflect, but just a comment, we had, Jeff kind of said he really doesn't care, does he, because he doesn't quite live there, it's not much different than Tom was saying, it's a tenant property to him. I think he might have a difference of opinion if he physically lived there, but we were texting back and forth today, and he virtually says, doesn't really affect me because I don't live in the house. So I don't know if the 30 meters, I just don't know if that helps, council, I don't know if the 30 meters make much difference.
I would add to that, if you go back to the picture of the frame you had of the setback circles, moving east is moving straight away. On the eastern house, it's an incline. So moving 30 feet that way isn't going to go 30 feet closer because you're also going further away.
Ah, okay.
okay. All right, so council has to decide if there's a change in the recommendation here. So can I get a mover and a seconder to read the motion at this point then? Councillor Chartrand and Councillor Steffler, that the council of the municipality of Huron East, acting as committee of adjustment, has held a public meeting pursuant to section 45 of the Planning Act 1990 with respect to minor variance application UP 05-2024. Whereas comments were received from the public regarding potential impacts to their property, and whereas no agency comments were received, now therefore the Committee of Adjustment approves the minor variance application MV 04 of 2024 concession 3 Leonard Road Survey, Part Lot 11, Tucker Smith Ward, to permit the following variance from bylaw 52 of 2006. And this is maybe where there might be a change, that the variance approved is valid for a period of 18 months from the date of the committee's decision, and the proposed structure be constructed as per the site plan submitted with the application to the satisfaction of the chief building official. So I'm going to ask the mover and the seconder at this point if you're asking for a change in the measurements or just to pass it as it was written.
Well, it sounds like to me now that we're asking for it to be moved 30 meters to the east. To the east.
Can I ask Shay, how does that affect overall tonight if that is just a condition that's going?
Yeah, so, I've drafted some kind of rough wording of what that condition would look like, so we can attach that, in addition to the other two conditions. We would still be able to approve the variance. The CBO would just make sure that a condition to shift it slightly to the east is, adhered to when he goes to issue the building permit.
I can read out that condition. It's just notwithstanding the site plan and details provided with this application. Proposed barn is required to be located 30 meters farther east from 40462 Walnut Road to the satisfaction of the CBO.
That'll work.
Councillor Deal.
Do you have to go back to Jeff on that then, or Mr. Aldrice, the other owner?
So I suppose it would be up to council if you feel that it would be appropriate to defer and provide time for the other landowner. I would just note that I don't feel that it's a significant change for that. What the setback would be for that property owner due to the location, as it's not directly east of the proposed barn.
Once it gets passed, is there not 21 days to appeal or something like that?
Yeah, there is an appeal period. Neighbors were removed with recent legislation changes as a right to appeal for minor variance applications.
Also, if we do not contact him, he does not have a right to appeal?
No.
Okay, so I know these gentlemen have talked to Mr. Aldice. Have you had a conversation with him about?
I have not spoken to that property owner.
Probably should defer.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that then. I would feel more comfortable that we actually, just put this on hold, bring this back next month after you've had that conversation. I'm comfortable with the change, provided that he doesn't have a, direct objection to it. Then I think everybody's gonna be happier at the end of the day. We will hold it up a month, but.
So then my original motion then should be to defer.
The correct wording, deferring or tabling?
Defer.
Defer, okay.
If I will, Mayor, I just, there is a bit of a, rush to have with the, building code changes proposed. That there is a bit of a reason why we would prefer to have a decision. I just want to full disclosure that those changes will take effect, and they're anticipated to make some changes to the cost of agricultural buildings. So just keep that in mind. I think there is a bit of a grace period, as far as I can understand from Brett Dietrich, that if the building designs are completed in 2024, they can be honored with the 2024 building code changes, but just want to make sure that's council's aware of that.
Okay, Councilor McGrath.
If it is time sensitive and maybe it isn't appropriate, maybe it is, maybe Shay could speak to the gentleman tonight. If he has an objection and for the conversation on the phone or text. Maybe that's not appropriate. I don't know. It's not business hours, but then if he says no, he has no objection, then that information come back to straight now. I'm just saying if it's time sensitive, that's all. And I know it's not on business hours and maybe Shay's not comfortable doing that. That's fine. But they've been in contact with the gentleman through the day, so just a thought.
And it's not a bad idea, and I like the idea of speeding things up, Larry, but having a paper trail back and forth is gonna protect everybody a lot better rather than just a phone call. So I think we need to give Shay the proper opportunity to draw it up, give it to him to make sure that he understands. But I do want clarification, please, on the fact that if in fact the gentleman's got all of his building permits and everything or his plans in place, that this would not cause him more money due to the building code, if in fact this got passed at the first.
Yeah, so from my understanding, just kind of secondhand from the building official, there is, a grace period if the building permit is obtained before, I believe it's the end of March, with drawings that have been created in 2024, you can honor the 2024 building code changes. That's my understanding.
So if I could just ask the applicant then, a delay of just under 1 month would not technically cause you extra expense if in fact you're just getting your drawings done now because you weren't gonna start building until the spring?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I would believe it will not encumber us in a significant manner. Talking to Brad, he said the more stamps 2024, the better. And this discussion is certainly a stamp.
Okay. All right, so we've got a motion to defer and a seconder to defer also. Any other questions, council? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll see you next month. You're welcome to stay. Number 10, planning report.
Can we get an adjournment?
Sorry. Mover and a seconder to adjourn, Councilor Morrison and Deputy Mayor, that the committee of adjustment be adjourned at 6:33 PM. All those in favor? And motion carries. Planning report, part lot control application PC 05 of 2024.
Me again.
So yeah, brief presentation for part lot control exemption application. The owner and applicant is Henry Schmidt, and this applies to property 769 and 771 Anderson Drive in Brussels. Next slide, please. So on the left there is just an aerial of the subject property. So it's one of the lots in the Brussels subdivision behind the arena. And then on the right is an image of the semi-detached building that's been constructed. So there are 4 units in this property, so 2 main floor units and 2 ARUs in the basement here. And the applicant has requested the subject lands to be exempt from part lot control to allow for the creation of 2 conveyable lots, each with a main floor unit and a basement unit as well. So the part lot control application will create a dividing line along the common party wall, down the center of the building. Next slide, please. So just a quick image of the reference plan for the property. So pretty straightforward here. You'll just note that part 3 shown in the call out there refers to an easement for a storm sewer easement in the rear yard. The proposal otherwise meets all zoning bylaw requirements for a semi-detached dwelling unit, and all units are individually serviced. So as a result, the part law control exemption is recommended to be approved. Any other questions on that?
Can I get a mover and a seconder for the motion at this time? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Deal, that the Council of the Municipality of Huron East consider the bylaw to provide for part lot control for Plan 596, part block 34, registered Plan 22R-7237, parts 39 and 40, 769 to 771 Anderson Drive, Brussels. Comments or questions from council? All those in favor? And motion carries. And planning report, zone map modernization.
So I'll just have a brief update report on the zoning bylaw map project that was initiated by council in September of this year. So as a refresher, the purpose of the project was to update the zone maps with new formatting, adding color, making the maps overall more user-friendly, and to address some minor changes as the maps haven't been updated in roughly 20 years. So the process to date, we held open houses in November of this year, held post-harvest season in Pursefield, Seaforth, and Brussels. Also note that we had the online mapping on the website, and it seems that was well received and used widely across the board. The project was also communicated through the municipal tax bill newsletter, newspaper advertisement, social media, the website, and some posters that were posted around the arenas and libraries. Staff have also reached out to landowners directly where there's a proposed change on the property, including with industrial zones, if there's a change there, and some properties that have aggregate license surrendered on them. We're still in the process of reaching out to a few landowners. It was a little tricky to send letters out to all of these landowners in light of the Canada Post strike, so still working on making sure those landowners are aware of what's going on. And then for public and agency comments, staff consulted with both ABCA and MBCA and have integrated some minor changes on their hazard lands and regulated lands based on recent updates. And then we've had some feedback from the Huron County Federation of Agriculture. We had someone attend one of the open houses, just noting that it's been advertised across the agricultural community, and most farmers were able to get on the viewer and just take a look at it how we paper. So no major concerns or comments from them. And then lastly, we had one written objection from a member of the public who generally disagrees with the concept of zoning on private properties as a whole. So for next steps in the process, we'll be looking for direction to hold and schedule the public meeting. So we're proposing to schedule this for February 4th council meeting in the new year. And in the meantime, we're just working on completing some final edits in response to agency feedback and discussions with landowners and some minor formatting changes. Again, this notice will be advertised in newspapers and on social media. It sounds like the Canada Post strike should be wrapping up soon, so hopefully we can get notices out there as usual, but if there's any changes to that, we'll follow alternative methods for making sure the public are aware that this is happening and giving lots of time for notification. So just recommended that council receive this report for information and direct staff to advertise and schedule the public meeting.
I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Chartrand, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The Council of the Municipality of Huron East directs staff to hold the statutory public meeting for the Zone Map Modernization Project per the Planning Act be held on February 4th of 2025. My only concern about the date, Shay, is we actually have a council meeting that night, so is it being held here, being held someplace else? Where would you have the public meeting?
Yeah, so kind of similar to how we do a public meeting for minor variances, we would hold it, we would exit the open session and go into public meeting, and have it at the same time.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Down to item 12, reports and recommendations from municipal officers, and the first report is the Huron OPP Detachment Board Remuneration. I'm not sure if that's the clerk.
Yeah, so, all the municipalities which have members on the detachment board were just asked that we all, approve the policy which the detachment board had done up, so it's just a formality that we approve this as Huron East Council since we have members. A copy of that bylaw will then be, sent on as for their records as well.
I was a little surprised on some of it, and not that I think it's a problem, but that policy really goes above and beyond how we treat other members of the public that sit on other things. First of all, the fact that there's training sessions for things, and are they training things that they're actually gonna use in that role? They get paid for it. I understand, set aside, paid for meals, and things like that, which is, again, is not a common thing for other board positions. And I wonder if that was appropriate or not, that we do one different than we do others. I don't know if anybody's got a comment or a question, or Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was thinking along the same lines. My first thoughts were, Mr. Mayor, that the province mandated that we have this committee, then the province can pay for it. It's a small amount, but it's more downloading, we're gonna have increased integrity. Commissioner costs coming up, I think, if I read this new bill properly, and I wouldn't be surprised if Huron County wants us to pay for some of the security at the courthouse going forward. So there's more and more downloading by the province, so I think we should tell them to take a hike on this one.
I really wish I had the clout that you think I have.
Anyway, I'm gonna vote no on it. So that's my thought. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other than voting no, it is appropriate that we pay our board members that attend things on behalf of the municipality. I don't have a problem with that part of it. So rather than voting no, we should ask the question, can we just make adjustments to the actual motion itself of what we're voting for?
How so, Mr. Mayor?
I need to ask the clerk if that's correct.
You can suggest recommendations back to the board to amend it, but that would respin the whole cycle of going back to every municipality to revisit. So I don't know.
Well, I just.
Councilor Steph or their board representatives, you can speak to the board's decisions on this.
I'm not gonna hold a comment, obviously, because I agree with what everybody's saying, that we're the last municipality to sign off on it. So everybody else has already approved it, I guess, right?
The board has to set their own remuneration policy, so it's part of the Community Safety Planning Act that they have to do that, so it's not necessarily a part of our policy we have to do it, so they are mandated to set their own remuneration policy. I mean, we could ask that they make changes, but essentially we're approving what they provided to us.
And I do understand through the legislation, there's mandatory training that the board members are required to get.
Yes.
Be a board member.
Okay, well, and if there's mandatory training, then I'm hoping that that training is being used in the position that they're holding. Then I don't have a problem with it. I would ask then that if council does pass this, could we send a request to them to reconsider their policy, because it's their policy we're voting on, that to be consistent with other committees throughout lower tier municipalities, that some of the things that are not normally covered be reconsidered, such as the meals and things like that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, if it may, to John. John, did your committee develop this policy then?
Yes and no. CAO from Central Huron, Steve Doherty, took it around to other areas through the Solicitor General, et cetera, to come up with the policy in the areas. The mandatory training was 5 hours from the Solicitor General, that piece. It was a big debate around the table, you know, of how we're, you know, exactly what we're talking about tonight is how does it fit for our individual, other committees and all that, and this is what it came back with. So like I said earlier, the other lower tiers have approved it. So even if we go back, how much is it gonna change? 8 and 1, there's the voter or whatever, I don't know. I think it's great to voice a concern, to stand up to what we believe as a council. It's moving over to where the head of it is now gonna go through South Huron. Instead of the CAO of South Huron is gonna manage it outside of the Central Huron, but the meeting was today. I did not attend today. I was at work. It was at 1 o'clock.
So, Councillor Deal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Due to this is a new committee, is that why the estimated, the budget portioning will be doubled by next year? Like this year it's at 26 and next year it will be 52.
Can't answer that question.
I don't think, I think the board only started probably halfway through the year.
That's what I
Exactly
was-
what happened.
That's right. Thank you.
Being we are maybe a little bit late to the table, we need to vote on the proposal that's in front of us. We can decide as a council if we want to send a request for them to reconsider their policy, going forward.
And I have no problem bringing our concerns to the group at our next meeting.
So, and where did I leave this off last? That, did I come over in a seconder yet?
No.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Deal, that the council of the municipality of Huron East consider the bylaw to provide for paying remuneration and expenses for Huron OPP detachment board members while acting in their capacity on behalf of the board. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna call, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 1, 2, 3, yeah, we only got 11, so. That passes. I would still like to send a request if, someone's willing to, make a motion and second that, that they consider redoing their, bylaw. Is that a bylaw? Or
It's a policy,
Policy.
yeah.
Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Chartrand. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? I take it the clerk has a gist of what we're asking them to change?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Gravel tender results. Barry, you're spending a lot of money.
I apologize for that, but I do have a typo on that on the South Patrol with the 34,000 tons should be 13,300 tons. It was pointed out to me today by Mr. Fisher, and he is correct. So then page 2, it says South Patrol at 34,000. It should represent 13,300. And you'll see the actual net cost versus the 20,000 of the North Patrol is significant difference. Barry, just go back a little slower for me. What page is the typo on? Page 2? Both pages. In the actual recommendation, it says 34,000 tons in the last HE 0924 for the North Patrol. And that's the one that goes to Clarence Carter and Son.
That's the third paragraph of the motion.
That's the South Patrol. That's right. That should be 13,000? 13,300. 300 ton? 13,300. Okay. That's where I'm getting confused.
Does it change the dollar?
I apologize for that error.
It's only a third.
Should be a
That's
reduction.
even more expensive.
And Barry, maybe it's just bad memory on my part, but when I read this, I was a little surprised when it said M gravel. And for some reason, I always thought we either had A gravel, B gravel, or something along that line, or have we just got that far down the list.
We've tried the A gravel, but M gravel is true maintenance gravel. It's a 5/8 crush.
Oh,
And it binds together better. In the north, they were finding that it was a little siltier up north. But we tried A gravel at one point to see if we could build more stone into the base. But unfortunately, it got a little larger and wasn't sticking as much, so we were back to the M gravel. And that, we only tried just in the north that one time.
okay. Okay. Thank you for that. So was there another question? Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How much higher is it this year than last year, please, Mr. Milk?
It's running about the same, price. It's up a small amount. I can't give you the actual percentage. But it's
Small amount's good.
Yeah, it's not a significant amount.
You had less than.
Thank you.
Less than 1% in there, Barry.
Yeah, it was 0.22 or something like that. That was it. Or maybe that was the,
Tender unit price represents an increase of 0.02331%. You're pretty accurate on that percentage there, Barry.
Didn't even know I did it,
You can thank Megan for that.
yeah.
Easy.
Can I get a mover and a seconder for the gravel tender results, please? Moved by Councillor Wilby, second by Councillor Fisher. And that is the, as printed in your agenda with the correction on part C to 13,300 ton. All those in favor? And motion carried. Number 12.3, dust control tender results.
It's pretty straightforward, I believe. We tender out for 790 flake ton. Looks like it's $1 more than last year. And that's it's a effective chloride composite, so it's like a brine.
Mover and a seconder, please. As soon as I get a mover and a seconder, Councillor Newell and Councillor Deal, and go ahead, Councillor Stefan.
So, yeah, it's very simple, 429, 430, but we had a big jump in 23, and once they took it, they never gave anything back. Oh. That's surprising.
That's not shocking.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Barry. Barry, so do you find this works well, this composites?
Yes, we manage it on all roads at different quantities, like we go anywhere from, I do believe 1.5 to 2 flake tons, maybe on your no winter maintenance roads, up to a 4 equivalent, which seems to hold okay. I'm not gonna lie, it's not as good as 35% liquid calcium, but in those kind of quantities, you can see where it's going. Your budget then would be, well, it would be another about $100,000.
Would you think though the 35% did do a better job and go farther than what a ton of the composite go
No, I don't think it'd go farther. Put the same quantity on, but you might just get a longer duration in that season.
Oh, okay, goes that way then, just. That makes sense. Do our other municipalities around us, do they use the same as us today, or?
No, yes, they use the composite more so. You might find a small municipality that might have maybe a small tonnage rate would maybe stick with the plate,
I just wondered if they would, us or them would maybe use the 35, maybe on a busier road, for instance.
In the past, we have sampled on busier roads. We've done mineral oil on one at one point in time.
Okay.
But costs and what the product does to the road. We did it more so in the urban centers where there's gravel. We put that mineral oil on just to try it out. But then we've gone back to the effective chloride, the composites. We just find it's effective.
Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. All those in favor? Carried. And I did have a mover and a seconder, right? Okay. We are down to correspondence and council reports, and I will go to the deputy mayor.
So our last meeting was on December the 4th. Denise from the planning department gave us a report on residential building activity for 23-24, and of course, everybody knows, as well as ours here, that our numbers are slightly down a little bit, but I did notice, looking across the county, I think here in East was still third best, or third number of houses, most number of houses built in 23-24. I think only ahead of, only behind South Huron and ECW, I believe, so. Michael Bloomhagen, presented an, asset management plan for our two homes for the aged, outlining investments needed over the next number of years. There was a motion brought forward to direct staff to bring back a report consolidating all the information we have received for a special meeting, just so we could look at the future of our homes, but that motion was defeated. Mike also brought back a report following the concerns of court security, like Councillor Fisher just mentioned, from Godrich. As the province gives Godrich monies to cover the costs at the courthouse for court security, et cetera, prisoner transfers, et cetera. However, the number of monies that's coming is getting less and less, and the last number of years, I think 2 or 3 years, Godrich is picking up a deficit of $180,000 that the residents have to pay for. So the request from the Godrich mayor and deputy is to include $200,000 in the 2025 budget for the county to help cover the shortfall. And just to give you an example of a couple things that have happened just in the last 2 years, anybody that goes to the courthouse now, there's 2 police officers standing at the door, and now there's metal detectors at the door as well. So we have to flash our badges before we can get in. We have keys also to get in the north door, but otherwise you got to go through a metal detector to get in. So that's the different change in regulation, just like Councillor Fisher talked to. So anyway, so that's up for discussion during budget. So that's all I have to say.
Feels like you're in a spy movie when you're up there. Are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars that anybody wants to raise right now? Councillor Wilby.
On the 11th, I attended the CHIP meeting. There wasn't a lot. CHIP made booklets that are being sent out to the bishops about how horse and buggies should respond to snow plowing and that sort of thing. Because they don't always do a very good job of following the rules. So now they have this booklet. So I was given a booklet and then she took it back because they don't really affect us. So they're just being bishops make sure that the community gets these booklets, and it's to make the roads safer so that they respond better. Some were just going to the other side of the road, some were turning into farmers' lanes. So the booklet tells you what you're supposed to do. The only other thing was, there's a lot of money being spent by Good Roads to study why we have so many traffic incidents up this way. I don't really want to comment on that right now. I need to get more information about it. So.
I'd be really interested to hear more information on that. So Good Roads is doing a study on incidents in Huron County?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's $180 some $1,000 that they're investing into it because we are the highest incident on the chart. We seem to be more accidents this way. So she had up like a chart showing it all. And I was quite surprised. I thought, you know, maybe down London way or something, or Toronto, but it seemed to be in our area.
Less population.
I think it could be because they get out on the farm roads and they drive too fast. And then something happens.
I wonder if they're charged per capita.
Not as many
It's
vehicles.
gotta be per capita, because there's not as many vehicles on the road here as there is in London or Toronto or London.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll bring you more information on that.
12.
It'd be interesting to see what's extrapolated from it, like is it severity or just a fender bender or how things are rated out?
It's more than a fender bender. There's like, they get the information from hospitals. So
That's more than a fender bender. Okay. All right, thanks for that information and be happy to see what you can come back with.
Yeah.
Are there any other boards, committees, meetings or seminars? Seeing none at this point, Are there any requests by members? Are there any notices of motion at this time? Or any announcements? Councillor Stefan.
I have a couple. The local hockey team, C4 Centenaire Senior Hockey Team is having a, I guess, an awareness event for this Saturday at the arena. It's called the Ham Slam. Basically exactly like a teddy bear toss, but you're throwing hams onto the ice for the food bank. So last year there was over 250. This year there'll be over 300 hams that go to the food bank for families in need, which should be nice. And just keeping everybody up to date for the homecoming, which is civic holiday last weekend, or civic holiday in 2025. I know the committee met with some staff this week and are very impressed with how things are progressing. There's new swag, I guess, if you will, that's up at a couple realtor offices and a couple stores if you look around in the community that are, starting to progress. There's a New Year's levy on January 1st at the Seaforth Legion. Just doing a announcement and any question and answer for anyone that's interested. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for that information. At this point, I will go to bylaws, and can I get a mover and a seconder to introduce bylaw 102? Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Deputy Mayor. Be it hereby resolved that bylaw 102 of 2024, a bylaw to provide for paying remuneration and expenses for the Huron Detachment Board members be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. A mover and a seconder for bylaw 103, Councillor Chartrand and Councillor Steffler, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 103 of 2024, a bylaw to exempt certain lands from part lot control be given first, second, third, and final readings, and signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. And a mover and a seconder for bylaw 104. Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Newell, that be it hereby resolved that bylaw 104 of 2024, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? And motion carries. And a mover and a seconder to adjourn the final meeting of the year, Councillor Fisher. Councillor Dalton, at the time now being 7:02, I was closer. The regular meeting do now adjourn until January 14, 2025 at 6 p.m.